Hello and welcome to Habano News. The first look at what I found. I went to the Davidoff shop in Geneva. The Davidoff shop where the very famous Zino Davidoff worked, and the one he opened with his family. And look at that. This is a box of Monte Cristo Especial, and I'm going to open this box for you. So I bought this box for 680 Swiss francs, which is about $700. So it is a box of 25, $700. So let's have a look. And when I went to the shop, there was another one. Look at this. So for those who do not know or do not remember, see, this is the new. So it is the box code is PGM DIS 23, as you can see here. PGM DIS 23, so December 2023. And this is a Laguito number 1. And this is one of the most famous, historically, one of the most famous cigars. Why? Because it is the same cigar, except for the blend and the brand, as the Cohiba Lanceros. And the other standard production cigar, which is now discontinued, is the Diplomáticos number 6. It was discontinued in the 80s, and of course the very famous Davidoff number 1. So this is a long panatella, and that was the cigar that Fidel Castro used to smoke. One of the cigars, I'm talking about the shape. He used to smoke the Lanceros, the Laguito number 1. It's very, it's a great cigar. So this, I'm not going to smoke it. I'm going to put it in my humidor to age, but look at this again. I mean, I could do this all day, but look at this, how beautiful this is. Beautiful. So thank you very much, Davidoff, Geneva. They were extremely kind, really great service, really nice. And I'm going to smoke a this is a Port Larrañaga Monte Carlo, and this is a Petit Corona from Port Larrañaga. I'm going to smoke this Petit Corona while I'm talking to you. So is this the beginning of the end of the embargo, US embargo on Cuba? On the 16th of May, a very important news came, and this news, I'm going to put the link of the article. It's everywhere in the US, on Reuters. Miami Herald wrote a very nice article. And it says, US removes Cuba from list of countries not cooperating fully with anti-terrorism efforts. So I looked into this in more details, and I realized that that Cuba was on 2 lists. So it's been removed from the list of countries not cooperating fully with anti-terrorism efforts. And then, so it says, in a policy step to ease pressure on Cuba, the Biden administration removed the communist island from the roster of countries not cooperating fully with anti-terrorist effort, a list the US State Department issues every year. So that was on the 16th of May. So then it says, you know, they didn't do it in 2022 or 2023. And there are 4 countries in 2023 that are on that list: North Korea, Iran, Syria, and Venezuela. So Cuba is not on there. But Cuba remains on a separate, more important list of state sponsors of terrorism. And it is also kept by the State Department. And this is since the Trump administration in 2021. It's the Trump administration in 2021, before it left power, that included Cuba on this list. As you remember, before that, there were some. We were convinced that the embargo would be lifted. The countries, you know, a lot of Americans were going on holiday there, the cruise ships and so on. And so Cuba is still on a second list, but the article says the immediate effects of removing Cuba from the annual list of those not cooperating on counterterrorism are unclear. People are wondering why the Biden administration is doing this. And obviously, I don't do politics. I'm really not interested. Of course, I'm interested in the effects of the laws, of the decisions. I have my own idea, my own judgment, but I do not share it because there's no point, you know, because there are always 2 sides. And people usually now don't listen to each other. So, and what I have to say is not very interesting as far as politics is concerned. So the removal comes after Cuban government has signaled it is not willing to take a first step to improve relations with the US. So, as you know, there was this issue with the diplomats who had to leave. There was, I think, a Netflix series. So things for the past 3 years have been complicated. And then the Cuban president was interviewed. The president said that they are not asking for favors, not begging for favors. He said we don't have to make any gesture to have the blockade removed. It's simply the right of the Cuban people. At present, the situation in Cuba is very difficult. People really are struggling. There's an article in the BBC about the crisis even on Cuban sugar. Cuba has to import sugar, and they used to be one of the biggest exporters of sugar in the world. So yeah, people are struggling, and the Cuban government says, you know, please stop this blockade. But there are, as usual, a lot of Cuban Americans, members of Congress, who are against that. They're not happy with the removal. For those who are not really, who don't really know much about American politics, usually there are 1 or 2 states, among them Florida, which are very important for the elections, especially presidential elections. And what happens is that they're called a swing state, because basically there's like a 49-51 conservative Republican and Democrats, and the Cuban Cuban American are a big population, and most of them are against the government of Cuba, and they're fighting, and they as you know, a few years, I mean, since in the 60s, they after the revolution, they decided to go back, and they organized, tried to get back the island after the revolution, and they lost. It was called the Bay of Pigs. A lot of people died. It was badly organized. It was a CIA covered operation. And so they're still fighting, and they don't want to open. They want, they really want the country to struggle. And of course, they're not happy with this decision. They do not want to see an opening. Why? Because they want to go back. They want the Cuba that was prior to the revolution. They don't want an opening. They don't want to have anything to do with the current government. So, as you know, when things happen in politics, this decision is not coming out of nowhere. So it is maybe the first step. Maybe the US is really realized that they need to get rid of this embargo. They're not, I mean, this embargo has been since 63, 60 years. It's achieved nothing except a lot of struggle for a lot of, for the civilians and the population. And this was a political fight, between communism and capitalism, basically. And then, of course, this country, there was the world was separated into communist and capitalist, and if you're helping this country, you're against me, and so on. So maybe it's a first step. We will see. Then if we hear that the administration or the Biden administration has decided to remove Cuba from the second list, then, of course, I think it's the Congress which will have to vote to remove Cuba from the to remove the embargo. So it will be, of course, it has to be signed by the president, but it's the first step. The second step is the removal of the second list, but maybe we're getting there. Maybe it's the beginning of the end of the embargo. So it's something to look at. Of course, if we are selfish and we think the end of embargo will mean that the US market is open to Cuban cigars, which of course is not tomorrow, but could come quickly after that, then since there's even less cigars than before, and the market is US market is the biggest one. I mean, there are already US cigars going to Cuba, indirectly, of course, but the effect will be, of course, even less cigars for the rest of the world. So I let you guys, in the US, of course, if you are Cuban cigar aficionado, you will be happy to be able to get Cuban cigars at decent prices. If you're outside of the US, and of course you have to share again with the US, like you had to share with the Asian market. So this is not that good, such a good news, but it would be a very good news for the Cuban people, because it is very difficult to live with such an embargo in Cuba at the moment. I mean, it's been the case for 60 years. So I hope you like this video. I hope, I wait for your comments. Please, no insult about the communist and, the capitalist. But the point of the channel is not to talk about politics, is to try to understand what the effects of political decisions might be on cigars. Thank you very much. Please follow this, subscribe to the channel. Also click on the bell, so you're going to be the first to be told when there is or informed when there is a new video. Thank you and goodbye.